I am Sam, 28, and the betrayal I felt still burns, even after all this time. It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. My cousin, Leah, had always been a whirlwind of ambition, a force of nature that often swept up anyone in her path, sometimes leaving a trail of minor chaos in her wake. I'd always seen it as a charming eccentricity, a byproduct of her boundless energy. We grew up together, sharing scraped knees and whispered secrets, a bond that felt as sturdy as the ancient oak in our grandmother's backyard. Or so I believed. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button to make my day, and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. My career had been a slow, steady climb, each rung earned through meticulous hard work, late nights, and an unwavering dedication to my craft. I was a content strategist at Zenith Innovations, a company that, despite its somewhat lofty name, was a dynamic and exciting place to work. We specialized in digital marketing, weaving narratives for brands, helping them connect with their audiences in meaningful ways. I loved the challenge, the creativity, the constant evolution of the industry. My portfolio, a carefully curated collection of successful campaigns and innovative strategies, was my pride and joy, a tangible representation of years of dedication. It was my professional diary, a testament to my growth and passion. Leah, on the other hand, had a knack for jumping from one shiny opportunity to the next, often talking a big game, but rarely sticking around long enough to see things through. So, when she called me, her voice buzzing with an unusual mix of desperation and excitement, I was cautiously optimistic. She needed a job, a good job, she said, something to finally anchor her. And she had heard about an opening at Zenith, a junior content creation role, perfect for someone trying to break into the industry. "Sam, please," she'd pleaded, her voice tinged with a vulnerability I rarely heard. "You're already there, you know the ropes. A referral from you would mean everything. I just need a foot in the door, a chance to prove myself." My heart, ever a soft touch for family, immediately went out to her. Despite her occasional flakiness, she was still my cousin, my blood. I knew how hard it could be to get a start in a competitive field, how a simple referral could open doors that remained stubbornly shut otherwise. I remembered my own struggles, the endless applications, the disheartening rejections. I wanted to help her, genuinely. "Of course, Leah," I'd said, a warm feeling spreading through me. "I'd be happy to. Send me your resume, and I'll put in a good word with Mark, the hiring manager for that team. He's a great guy, very fair." I spent the next few days preparing her referral. I drafted a glowing email to Mark, highlighting Leah's perceived strengths, her enthusiasm, her supposed quick grasp of new concepts. I even gave her some pointers on the company culture, on how to approach the interview, sharing insights that had taken me years to gather. I sent her a few links to articles on recent digital marketing trends, encouraging her to familiarize herself with them, to show initiative. I genuinely wanted her to succeed, to find her footing, to finally experience the satisfaction of building something meaningful. My intention was pure, born of a desire to see my family thrive. Leah's response was effusive, overflowing with thanks and promises of how she would make me proud. "You're the best, Sam. I owe you everything. You won't regret this, I promise." Her words, once sweet and reassuring, now echoed in my memory like a bitter taunt. A few weeks passed. I was deep in a major campaign launch, the kind that demands your full attention, leaving little room for anything else. I'd occasionally think of Leah, wondering how her interviews were going, but the sheer volume of work kept me from following up directly. I trusted Mark. He was thorough, fair, and incredibly discerning. I assumed he would see Leo's potential, or at least recognize that she was a good fit for a junior role. Then came the office announcement. An internal email, sent company-wide, welcoming the newest member of the content creation team. My eyes scanned the name, and a cold dread settled in my stomach, turning the celebratory message into a sickening twist. Leah Cho was joining Zenith Innovations. A mix of emotions flooded me. Relief, for her. A faint ripple of pride that she had made it. But predominantly, an unsettling sense of unease. Leah had always been good at charming people, at presenting a polished veneer. I knew she had the ambition, but did she have the foundational knowledge for this kind of work? Had she truly absorbed the advice I'd given her? The thought was fleeting, dismissed by the general bustle of the office. After all, she was hired, so she must have proven herself. Right? The next day, Leah bounded into my office, her face alight with triumph, completely oblivious, or perhaps uncaring, of the shock still reverberating through me. She hugged me tightly, her voice practically bubbling over with excitement. "I got the job, Sam. I actually got it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your referral was magic." I managed a strained smile. "That's wonderful, Leah. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you." The words felt hollow, even to me. Something felt off, a discordant note in the symphony of her triumph. "You won't believe how easy the interview was," she chattered on, settling into the chair opposite my desk, her eyes bright. "Mark was so impressed. He kept talking about my impressive portfolio and unique insights. It was almost too easy." My stomach clenched. Impressive portfolio? Unique insights? For a junior role? Leah had some basic design skills, but her portfolio was frankly rudimentary, cobbled together from college projects. Mine, on the other hand, was extensive, well-regarded, built over years of professional experience. A cold, hard suspicion began to form in my mind, an insidious whisper that grew louder with each of Leah's self-congratulatory words. "What exactly did you show him?" I asked, my voice carefully neutral, striving to keep the rising panic from my tone. Leah waved a dismissive hand. "Oh, just some of my best work, you know. He was really impressed. He said it showed a mature understanding of content strategy. And then he mentioned how you'd spoken so highly of me. How you'd vouched for my exceptional talent and unwavering dedication." She beamed, completely unaware of the glacial grip of dread that was now tightening around my heart. The pieces began to click into place, horrifyingly. My mind raced back to my own portfolio, stored digitally on my personal drive, but also easily accessible on the company's internal server, where many of us kept our work for collaborative projects. The way Mark had spoken about my portfolio, the very words he'd used, they were words that had been used to describe my work in my past performance reviews. And Leah's sudden, effusive thanks, almost too over the top, now felt like a desperate attempt to mask a deeper deception. "Leah," I said, my voice barely a whisper, the blood draining from my face. Did you use my portfolio?" Her smile faltered, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. It was gone in an instant, replaced by a defensive glare. "What are you talking about, Sam? Of course not. Why would I do something like that?" Her voice was suddenly sharper, a touch of brittle anger. "Are you accusing me? After all you did for me? After I got the job?" The accusation, inverted and flung back at me, stunned me into silence. The audacity. The sheer, unadulterated gall of it. She hadn't just used my portfolio, she was now trying to twist the narrative, to make me feel guilty for even asking. The bond I thought we shared, the oak tree of our childhood, splintered and shattered into a million pieces. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw, not my cousin, but a stranger. A calculating, manipulative stranger who had taken my kindness, my trust, and twisted it into a weapon against me. The pain was sharp, a betrayal that cut deeper than any wound. But beneath the pain, a cold, unwavering resolve began to form. I said nothing more. My silence was my new weapon. She left my office, her footsteps lighter than they had any right to be. I sat there, staring at my desk, the congratulatory email still open on my screen, its words mocking me. My hands clenched into fists under the desk. She had stolen not just an opportunity, but a piece of my professional identity, and she had done it with a casual ruthlessness that chilled me to the bone. The thought of exposing her, of marching straight to Mark and laying bare her deceit, burned fiercely within me. But a calmer, colder voice emerged from the depths of my anger. What would that achieve? A messy confrontation, a family drama played out in the professional arena. Leah would deny everything, spin a tale, perhaps even accuse me of jealousy. It would be a messy, drawn-out battle, and in the end, it might only tarnish my own reputation for bringing personal issues into the workplace. No, there was a better way. A more definitive way. I remembered Leah's real capabilities, or lack thereof. Her charm, her ambition, her knack for superficial presentation, they were her strengths. But actual substance, deep understanding, critical thinking, those were not. She had ridden my coattails, used my work to get in. But the real work, the day-to-day demands of content strategy, the intricate details, the nuanced understanding of client needs, the ability to articulate complex ideas, these were things she could not fake. Indefinitely. My resolve hardened. I would let her have her moment. I would let her walk into the trap she had unknowingly set for herself. And I would wait. I would watch. And when the time was right, I would ensure that her elaborate charade crashed and burned, spectacularly, in front of the one person who truly mattered. The CEO. The initial weeks of Leah's tenure at Zenith Innovations were a strange ballet of simmering resentment and forced cordiality. I maintained a professional distance, observing her with a detached vigilance. She moved through the office with a newfound swagger, her confidence inflated by her ill-gotten success. She often sought me out, ostensibly for advice, but her questions were always superficial, a clear attempt to glean just enough information to keep up appearances. She'd ask things like, "How do you usually structure your brainstorming sessions?" Or, "What's the typical timeline for a small client campaign?" Her inquiries lacked any real depth, never delving into the strategic thinking or the nuanced execution that truly defined our work. I, in turn, offered generic, high-level answers, careful not to give her any actionable insights that could further her deception. My responses were polite, professional, and utterly devoid of genuine help. The internal battle was constant. The urge to expose her, to tear down her carefully constructed facade, warred with my patient resolve. But I held firm, my gaze fixed on the inevitable crash. Mark, the hiring manager, seemed genuinely pleased with Leah's performance in those early days. She was punctual, enthusiastic, and highly articulate in meetings, adept at using buzzwords and nodding sagely at appropriate moments. She had a talent for seeming engaged without actually contributing anything substantive. I saw him praise her in passing conversations, complimenting her initiative and quick understanding. Each compliment felt like a fresh cut, a bitter reminder of the injustice. My portfolio, my hard work, was being attributed to her, and she was reaping the rewards. My own work, meanwhile, continued as always. I buried myself in projects, channeling my anger and frustration into productive output. My performance reviews remained stellar, my reputation within the company solid. I made sure my presence was consistent, my contributions undeniable. I was not just sitting back and waiting. I was actively building my own foundation, reinforcing my own worth, ensuring that when the moment came, my credibility would be beyond question. The major client presentation was always the biggest event of the quarter. It was where new campaigns were unveiled, big ideas pitched, and the future direction of our major accounts was set. The CEO, Mr. Davison, always attended these presentations. He was a man of sharp intellect and even sharper questions, known for cutting straight to the heart of any issue. He had a reputation for quickly discerning who truly understood their work and who was merely coasting. This was the stage where Leah's charade would finally crumble. I just knew it. The stakes were too high, the scrutiny too intense, for her superficial understanding to hold up. The weeks leading up to the presentation were a frenzy of activity. Leah, surprisingly, seemed to be thriving on the chaos. She fluttered between teams, gathering information, ostensibly contributing to various aspects of the presentation. She volunteered to take on key sections, including the crucial strategy overview for our biggest client, Helios Tech, a giant in the renewable energy sector. My stomach knotted when I heard this. Helios Tech was one of my accounts, a client I had painstakingly built a relationship with over 2 years, understanding their intricate needs and crafting bespoke solutions. The strategy she was presenting was, in large part, based on frameworks I had developed, adapted from my past successful campaigns. "Are you sure you want to take on the strategy overview, Leah?" I'd asked her, feigning concern. "It's quite complex, a lot of nuances." She had waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, it's fine, Sam. I've been studying the files. It's all about messaging, really. I'm a natural at that." Her confidence was truly breathtaking, a skyscraper built on sand. I simply nodded, a silent observer. My resolve was firm. I would not interfere. I would not warn her. I would let her walk directly into the fire. I continued to prepare my own backup materials, just in case, fine-tuning my understanding of every single detail of the Helios Tech campaign, as if I were going to present it myself. I reviewed my own notes, reread the client briefs, anticipated every possible question the CEO might throw. My knowledge was deep, layered, and authentic. Hers was a thin veneer. The day of the presentation dawned bright and clear, but the atmosphere of the office was charged with nervous energy. The conference room, a large, modern space with a panoramic view of the city, was meticulously prepared. The large projection screen glowed, waiting for its moment. I arrived early, taking a seat discreetly at the back of the room, near the wall, blending into the background. I wanted to be visible, but not conspicuous. I wanted to watch the show unfold from a strategic vantage point. Mr. Davison, the CEO, entered the room precisely on time, his presence immediately commanding attention. He was a man in his late 50s with shrewd, intelligent eyes that missed nothing. He nodded briefly to the assembled team, took his seat at the head of the long conference table, and gestured for the presentation to begin. Mark, the project lead, started with a brief introduction, outlining the agenda. Then, he introduced Leah. "And now, to walk us through the strategic overview for Helios Tech, our newest addition to the team, Leah Cho." Leah walked to the front of the room, her posture straight, a confident smile on her face. She looked poised, professional, almost regal. She clicked to the first slide, which, to my quiet fury, was almost identical in its core design and wording to one of my own templates. My intellectual property, displayed for all to see, attributed to her. The audacity of it still stung, but I pushed it down, focusing on the inevitable. She began to speak, her voice clear and articulate, reciting the bullet points on the screen. She spoke of synergistic approaches and leveraging digital touchpoints and optimizing user engagement. Her delivery was smooth, polished, a masterclass in corporate jargon. For the first few minutes, she managed to maintain the illusion of competence. Heads nodded around the room. Mark looked proud. But then, Mr. Davison, as was his custom, leaned forward, his shrewd eyes narrowing. "Leah," he interrupted, his voice calm but firm. Can you explain the underlying algorithm driving the proposed engagement model? Specifically, the predictive analytics component you mention on slide 5. How does it factor into the client's historical banner? Datasets? The room fell silent. Leah's confident smile faltered. Her eyes darted to the screen, then to Mark, then back to Mr. Davison, a flicker of panic entering their depths. The question was precise, technical, and cut straight through the superficial gloss of her presentation. It required a deep understanding of the work, not just the ability to recite buzzwords. It was a question I had anticipated, a concept I had spent weeks refining and testing. The algorithm? Leah stammered, her voice suddenly unsure. Well, it's designed to, optimize engagement. It's very advanced. She gestured vaguely at the screen, her composure visibly cracking. Mr. Davison raised an eyebrow, a clear sign of his dissatisfaction. I understand its intended purpose, Leah. I'm asking about its function, the underlying mechanics. How does it actually work? What are its core parameters? And how does it specifically integrate with Helios Tech's unique data infrastructure, given their established legacy systems? His voice was still calm, but the tone was now unmistakably sharper, laced with a growing impatience. Leah's face paled. She opened her mouth, then closed it, grasping for words that simply weren't there. Her eyes darted around the room, pleading, desperate. Mark, sensing the growing discomfort, tried to interject. Sir, perhaps Leah is still getting up to speed on some of the more technical aspects. We can have someone else. Mr. Davison held up a hand, stopping him cold. His gaze, piercing and unwavering, swept across the room, lingering for a moment on the faces of the senior team members, then on me, sitting quietly at the back. Does anyone else in this room, he asked, his voice low but carrying absolute authority, have a clear understanding of the predictive analytics model and its application to the Helios Tech campaign? The silence that followed was deafening, thick with tension and the unspoken fear of stepping forward. Everyone knew the CEO's expectations. This wasn't a trick question. It was a test of fundamental understanding. And no one, it seemed, was willing to risk their own reputation by attempting to answer a question that Leah, the designated expert, clearly couldn't. This was it. My moment. The culmination of weeks of patient waiting, of suppressed anger and simmering resentment. I took a deep breath, the air filling my lungs with a surge of adrenaline. I pushed off the back wall, my footsteps quiet but deliberate as I walked towards the front of the room. Every eye followed me. Leah's face, pale and strained, watched me with a mixture of horror and dawning realization. Mark looked bewildered. I reached the front of the room, standing beside Leah, who now looked like a deer caught in headlights. I met Mr. Davison's gaze, my own eyes clear and steady. Yes, sir, I said, my voice strong and clear, devoid of hesitation. I can explain the algorithm and its application to Helios Tech's campaign. The CEO's eyes narrowed, but a flicker of interest entered them. He simply nodded, a silent invitation for me to proceed. I turned to the projection screen, my mind sharp and focused. The predictive analytics model, sir, I began, my voice calm and confident, is built on a hybrid neural network architecture, specifically designed to process large, unstructured datasets from diverse sources, which is crucial for Helios's Tech's legacy systems. The core parameters involved in... I spoke for the next 10 minutes, detailing the algorithm's mechanics, its integration points with Helios Tech's historical data, its expected output, and its strategic implications for their marketing efforts. I explained the nuances, the challenges, the contingency plans, drawing on my deep, intimate knowledge of the client and the technology. I spoke with clarity, precision, and an unwavering understanding that came from having designed much of it myself. I didn't just recite facts, I demonstrated genuine comprehension, the kind that only comes from true mastery. As I spoke, I could feel the shift in the room. The tension began to ease, replaced by a growing sense of attention and understanding. Mark looked utterly astonished, his mouth slightly agape. Leah stood beside me, utterly still, her face a mask of dawning horror, her earlier confidence completely evaporated. Her brief, stolen moment in the sun had just culminated in a spectacular, self-inflicted crash. When I finished, the room remained silent for a beat, a collective intake of breath. Mr. Davison leaned back in his chair, a slow, appreciative smile spreading across his face. He looked directly at me, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. "Excellent, Samantha," he said, his voice resonant, filled with genuine approval. That was precisely the comprehensive explanation I was looking for. Remarkable clarity, and a deep understanding of the client's unique challenges. He paused, then turned his gaze to Mark. "Mark, why was this not presented from the outset?" Mark stammered, looking between Leah and me, his face flushing. "Sir, I thought Leah was fully prepared for this section. I apologize." Mr. Davison waved a dismissive hand. He then looked back at me, his gaze sharp and direct. "Samantha, what is your current role here at Zenith?" "I'm a senior content strategist, sir," I replied, my voice steady. He nodded, a thoughtful expression on his face. He then turned to Leah, his voice dropping slightly, losing all trace of the earlier warmth. "Leah," he said, his tone cool and dismissive, "it's clear there's been a significant misunderstanding regarding your capabilities. I think it's best if we reevaluate your position here." Leah's face crumpled. The illusion had shattered completely. The weight of her deception, the glaring inadequacy of her knowledge, had finally been laid bare in the most public and unforgiving of ways. She didn't say a word, just turned on her heel, and, with a shaky gait, walked out of the conference room, her brief, ignominious career at Zenith Innovations ending as abruptly as it had begun. The door clicked shut behind her, sealing her fate. Mr. Davison then turned back to me, a decisive look in his eyes. "Samantha," he said, his voice firm and clear. "That was an outstanding demonstration of expertise. I'm highly impressed. Effective immediately. I want you to head the Helios Tech account, and consider this a formal offer for the newly created position of Director of Content Strategy. You're exactly the kind of talent we need leading our key accounts. Congratulations." The words hung in the air, a profound validation. Hired on the spot. A promotion I had earned, finally, on my own merits, untainted by deceit. A wave of exhilaration, pure and unadulterated, washed over me, chasing away months of resentment and frustration. I had waited. I had watched. And in the end, justice, in its coldest, most satisfying form, had prevailed. "Thank you, sir," I said, my voice filled with a genuine gratitude that stemmed from profound vindication. "I won't let you down." As I looked around the room, the faces of my colleagues reflected a mixture of surprise, respect, and perhaps a hint of dawning understanding. My vindication was complete. Leah had crashed and burned, not because of my interference, but because of her own hubris and deceit. And I, the quiet observer, had risen from the ashes, stronger and more resolved than ever. The aftermath of the presentation felt like a whirlwind, a dizzying ascent after months of constrained patience. News of my unexpected promotion and Leah's abrupt departure spread through the office like wildfire. Colleagues approached me with varying degrees of surprise and respect, offering congratulations and, in some cases, thinly veiled expressions of relief that the new hire was no longer a liability. Mark, the hiring manager, sought me out later that day, his face a mixture of embarrassment and profound apology. "Sam," he said, his voice genuinely contrite, I am so sorry. I should have seen through it. I can't believe she would do something like that, especially after you vouched for her." He looked utterly bewildered, his trust evidently shattered. I simply nodded, my expression neutral. "It's all right, Mark. We all make mistakes. The important thing is that Zenith has the right person leading the Helios Tech account now." My words were carefully chosen, professional, allowing him to save face while subtly reinforcing the undeniable truth of the situation. There was no need for further explanation, the facts spoke for themselves. The transition into my new role as Director of Content Strategy was seamless. I immersed myself in the responsibilities, grateful for the challenge and the trust placed in me. The Helios Tech account, once a source of quiet frustration due to Leo's involvement, now became a vibrant canvas for my strategic vision. I immediately began to implement new initiatives, leveraging my deep understanding of the client's needs and the latest industry trends. My team, a bright and dedicated group, responded with enthusiasm, invigorated by clear direction and genuine expertise. The satisfaction of my work was immense. It wasn't just about the promotion or the increased responsibilities, it was about the profound validation of my skills, my dedication, and my integrity. I had not compromised my values, had not engaged in petty office politics. I had simply waited for the truth to reveal itself, and it had, in the most spectacular way possible. The quiet triumph I felt was deeply fulfilling, a testament to the power of patience and genuine ability. Life outside of work also began to settle into a more peaceful rhythm. The constant low hum of resentment and anxiety that had plagued me for months slowly dissipated. I found myself sleeping better, my mind free from the endless loop of what if and if only. I reconnected with friends I had inadvertently neglected during the ordeal, sharing stories and laughter, feeling a lightness in my spirit I hadn't realized was missing. My personal life had always been a priority, but the past few months had cast a long shadow over it. Now, with the professional drama behind me, I found renewed energy for my passions outside of work. I resumed my weekend hikes in the nearby hills, reveling in the fresh air and the quiet beauty of nature. I rediscovered my love for painting, spending hours lost in the vibrant colors and fluid strokes, a therapeutic release for the lingering emotional residue. One evening, several weeks after the presentation, I received a call from my mother. Her voice, usually warm and comforting, was strained, laced with a mix of concern and thinly veiled anger. "Sam," she began, "have you heard from Leo?" My heart gave a small, involuntary clench. "Not directly, Mom. Why?" Well, she sighed. "She's back home. She lost her job at Zenith, and she told us that you set her up, that you sabotaged her during the presentation because you were jealous of Dabla, her success." A cold, familiar anger stirred within me, but I took a deep breath, maintaining my composure. "Mom, that's not true," I said, my voice steady. Leah was asked specific questions about the Helios Tech campaign's technical aspects, questions that were directly relevant to her supposed area of expertise. She couldn't answer them. The CEO, Mr. Davison, was there. He witnessed everything. I simply provided the correct answers when asked. My mother was quiet for a moment, absorbing my words. She knew me, knew I wasn't prone to exaggeration or malice. "She said you used her own work against her," she ventured, her voice still tinged with doubt. "Mom," I explained, carefully choosing my words. Leah presented a strategy overview for Helios Tech. Much of that strategy, the underlying frameworks and complex models, were developed by me. She didn't understand the depth of it because it wasn't truly her work. I didn't explicitly accuse her of using my portfolio, I merely stated the factual basis of the situation, allowing my mother to draw her own conclusions. A long silence followed. Then, my mother's voice, now tinged with a deeper understanding, softened. I see, she said, slowly. So, she misrepresented herself. That's one way to put it, Mom, I replied, a weariness creeping into my voice. Look, I didn't want any of this drama. I just wanted to do my job, and I wanted her to succeed honestly. But when someone deliberately deceives and manipulates, there are always consequences. My mother sighed again. Well, your grandmother is very upset. Leo's been telling everyone a different story. I can imagine, I said, my voice firm. But the truth has a way of coming out, Mom, and I'm not going to apologize for doing my job well or for being prepared when asked to step up. The conversation ended, leaving me with a faint sense of lingering melancholy. The family dynamic, once a source of comfort, now felt irrevocably strained. Leah's deception had not only affected my professional life, but had also cast a shadow over our personal relationships. I knew some family members might believe her version of events, others might remain neutral, and a few, like my mother, might see the truth. It was a painful realization, but I was determined not to let it diminish the profound sense of peace and vindication I had finally achieved. My integrity was more important than maintaining a superficial facade of family harmony. In the months that followed, my career at Zenith Innovations continued to flourish. The Helios Tech account, under my direction, saw significant growth and innovation, earning me further recognition within the company. I was frequently invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing my expertise and insights, my reputation solidifying as a leader in my field. Each new achievement was a quiet victory, a testament to the fact that genuine talent and hard work would always, eventually, prevail over deceit and superficiality. The memory of Leah's betrayal faded into the background, becoming a distant, painful lesson rather than an open wound. I rarely saw her. Our paths diverged, hers a trajectory of continued instability, mine a steady climb of professional fulfillment. I learned to let go of the lingering resentment, understanding that holding on to it only hurt me. My focus shifted entirely to my work, to building meaningful connections with my colleagues, and to nurturing my personal life. The entire ordeal had, paradoxically, made me stronger. It had taught me invaluable lessons about trust, about discernment, and about the importance of standing firm in my own truth. It had solidified my belief in my own capabilities, pushing me to embrace challenges with renewed vigor. I had faced a profound betrayal, but I had emerged not bitter, but more resilient, more self-assured. 1 year after the infamous presentation, Zenith Innovations held its annual company gala. I attended with a sense of quiet accomplishment, surrounded by colleagues who respected me, and a professional life that was thriving. As I mingled, I overheard snippets of conversation, hushed mentions of that infamous presentation, and the new director. The story had become a legend, a cautionary tale whispered in the company hallways. Later that evening, Mr. Davison, the CEO, approached me. He had always been a man of few words, but his presence commanded respect. "Samantha," he said, his shrewd eyes holding mine. "I wanted to tell you again how impressed I've been with your work this past year. You've truly exceeded expectations. Especially with Helios Tech. You showed remarkable composure and insight that day in the conference room. It takes true character to handle a situation like that with such grace." I smiled, a genuine smile that reached my eyes. "Thank you, sir," I replied, my voice sincere. "I appreciate your trust and your support." He nodded, a rare, appreciative smile touching his lips. "It was the right choice, Samantha. The very best choice for Zenith." As he walked away, I felt a profound sense of peace settle over me. The circle was complete. My patience, my silent resilience, my unwavering belief in my own abilities had been fully vindicated. I had not only regained what was taken from me, but I had risen higher, proving that true talent and integrity could not be suppressed, no matter how cunning the deception. The bitterness had dissolved, replaced by a quiet strength and a deep, abiding gratitude for the path my life had taken. A path forged by both betrayal and ultimate triumph. My story was a testament to the fact that sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's simply living your truth, excelling on your own terms, and letting the deceit of others ultimately consume itself. And in that quiet victory, I found a freedom far more valuable than any job title or salary. It was the freedom of knowing my own worth, truly and undeniably. The subsequent years at Zenith Innovations solidified my position not just as a director of content strategy, but as a respected thought leader in the industry. My reputation grew beyond the confines of the company, leading to invitations to speak at national conferences, to contribute to industry publications, and even to consult on specialized projects for other major corporations. Each opportunity was a testament to the hard work and dedication I had poured into my career, a stark contrast to the hollow ascent Leah had attempted. My team at Zenith thrived under my leadership. I fostered an environment of open communication, collaboration, and genuine mentorship, ensuring that every member felt valued and empowered to contribute their best work. I made it a point to celebrate their successes, recognizing that true leadership lay in uplifting others, not in tearing them down. The memory of Leah's betrayal, while still a part of my story, had transformed into a powerful catalyst for positive change within my own professional approach. It had taught me the profound importance of integrity and the devastating consequences of its absence. My personal life, too, flourished. I had found a deep, abiding contentment that stemmed from a sense of purpose and authenticity. I cultivated strong friendships, cherishing the bonds built on mutual trust and genuine respect. My relationship with my mother had healed over time, as she witnessed my continued success and Leah's ongoing struggles, slowly accepting the truth of what had transpired. While the extended family remained somewhat fractured, I prioritized the relationships that brought me joy and peace, letting go of the ones that caused undue stress. I continued my passions outside of work, hiking, painting, and now, even dabbling in creative writing, finding a new outlet for storytelling that wasn't bound by corporate objectives. These pursuits were my anchors, reminding me that my identity extended far beyond my professional achievements, that my worth was inherent, not tied to any title or position. The very landscape of the digital marketing industry was constantly evolving, and I embraced the challenge, always seeking new knowledge, staying at the forefront of emerging technologies and trends. I led Zenith through several significant transformations, adapting our strategies to meet the changing demands of the market, always with an eye towards innovation and ethical practice. My ability to anticipate shifts and pivot effectively became a hallmark of my leadership. One particularly significant project involved a new AI-driven content generation tool. The team had been working on it for months, a complex endeavor that promised to revolutionize how we created scalable content. The day of the launch, there was a palpable buzz in the office, a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. Mr. Davison, now in his late 60s, but still sharp as ever, was present, along with a few key board members. As the presentation began, I introduced the new tool, outlining its capabilities and its potential impact. It was a moment of immense professional pride, showcasing years of collective effort and foresight. During the cue, a board member posed a particularly intricate question about the ethical implications of AI in content creation, a nuanced topic that required a deep understanding of both technology and philosophy. I addressed the question head-on, drawing on my extensive research and my personal commitment to responsible innovation. I spoke not just of technical solutions, but of the broader societal implications, of the human element that must always remain at the core of our work. My response was comprehensive, thoughtful, and deeply reflective. When I finished, a wave of nods and appreciative murmurs swept through the room. Mr. Davison, his eyes twinkling, simply smiled. "Samantha," he said, his voice carrying clearly, "you continue to impress. Your ability to combine strategic vision with a profound ethical understanding is truly remarkable." It was a quiet acknowledgement, but it resonated deeply within me. It wasn't just about technical expertise anymore. It was about the wisdom that comes from experience, from overcoming adversity, and from consistently choosing integrity. Years later, as I approached my 40s, Zenith Innovations underwent a significant restructuring. Mr. Davison, finally ready to retire, announced his departure and the search for a new CEO. The news sent ripples of speculation through the company. Many names were tossed around, both internal and external candidates. I continued my work, focused on my responsibilities, unwilling to get caught up in the rumor mill. Then, one quiet afternoon, Mr. Davison called me into his office. He sat behind his large mahogany desk, looking thoughtful. "Samantha," he began, his gaze direct, "as you know, I'll be stepping down soon. The board and I have been deliberating on my successor." He paused, and my heart gave a sudden, unexpected lurch. "We believe," he continued, his voice firm and clear, "that you are the ideal candidate to lead Zenith Innovations into its next chapter. Your vision, your leadership, your unwavering commitment to our values, and your proven track record make you uniquely qualified. We'd like to offer you the position of Chief Executive Officer." I sat stunned, speechless. The offer was monumental, a culmination of everything I had ever strived for, a responsibility that was both exhilarating and daunting. My mind raced back to that desperate morning in Havenwood, clutching a wedding ring, to the betrayal in the conference room, to the long, arduous climb. And now, this. The highest office. "Sir," I finally managed, my voice a little hoarse, "I am incredibly honored and profoundly grateful." He smiled, a genuine warm smile. "You earned it, Samantha. Every step of the way. You built this, brick by brick, with integrity and undeniable talent. You always understood that true success isn't about taking shortcuts or pretense. It's about genuine substance." He paused, his eyes holding mine with a knowing look. "You always were the one who understood the underlying algorithm, weren't you?" A small, knowing smile touched my lips. "Yes, sir," I replied, my eyes shining with gratitude. "I believe I was." Accepting the CEO position marked a new chapter, not just for me, but for the entire company. I embraced the challenge with a deep sense of purpose, committed to leading Zenith Innovations with the same integrity and dedication that had defined my own journey. My past, particularly the painful lesson of Leah's betrayal, served as a constant reminder of the importance of fostering a culture of honesty, collaboration, and genuine meritocracy. The story of the stolen portfolio, the public crash, and the subsequent rise of the quiet strategist became a company legend, a whispered tale of justice and vindication. It was a story not of malice or revenge, but of the enduring power of truth and authenticity. Leah, I heard, had drifted from job to job, her reputation preceding her, never quite finding the stability she craved. Her trajectory was a stark counterpoint to mine, a living example of the ultimate consequences of deceit. As I looked out from my new office, from the top floor of the Zenith Tower, the city sprawling beneath me, I felt a profound sense of peace. The journey had been long, marked by unexpected turns and profound lessons. But through it all, I had held true to myself, to my values, and to the unwavering belief that genuine effort and integrity would always, in the end, lead to true success. The bitter taste of betrayal had been replaced by the sweet savor of triumph, earned not by tearing others down, but by building myself up, one honest step at a time. And in that, I found a satisfaction far richer and more enduring than any title or position could ever provide. My story was now a beacon, not just for my company, but for anyone who believed in the quiet power of unwavering truth. Years turned into decades, and my tenure as CEO of Zenith Innovations became a period of unprecedented growth and innovation for the company. I fostered a culture where integrity was paramount, where talent was recognized and nurtured, and where every employee felt empowered to contribute authentically. The lessons learned from Leah's betrayal had become foundational principles in my leadership philosophy, shaping my approach to hiring, team building, and strategic decision-making. I often spoke about the importance of substance over show, and true capability over superficial charm. My life outside of work remained a sanctuary. I found profound joy in my enduring friendships, in the quiet solitude of my creative pursuits, and in the love of my family, who had witnessed my journey from desperate uncertainty to undeniable success. My mother, now quite elderly, would often call me just to express her pride, her voice filled with a warmth that erased any lingering shadows of past family friction. The name Leah, once a sharp sting, had long lost its power to wound. She had become a distant, almost forgotten figure, a cautionary tale that served as a subtle reminder of the path I had deliberately chosen not to take. Her trajectory, I learned from occasional whispers through mutual acquaintances, remained one of fleeting engagements and unfulfilled potential, a stark contrast to the sustained growth and impact of my own career. I reached a point where I could look back at the entire ordeal not with bitterness, but with a deep sense of gratitude. The betrayal, painful as it was, had been a crucible that forged my resilience, sharpened my discernment, and ultimately propelled me towards a path of unwavering authenticity. It had forced me to trust in my own abilities, to stand firm in my truth, and to realize that external validation, while pleasant, was ultimately less important than internal conviction. One particularly significant milestone was Zenith Innovations' 50th anniversary. We held a grand celebration, a testament to decades of innovation and growth. As CEO, I stood before thousands of employees, partners, and industry leaders, delivering a speech that chronicled the company's journey, its challenges, and its triumphs. I spoke of the core values that had guided us, of the importance of embracing change, and of the unwavering belief in the human potential for creativity and progress. Towards the end of my speech, I paused, my gaze sweeping across the vast auditorium. 50 years ago, I began, my voice clear and resonant. This company was founded on a vision of pioneering the future, and every day, we strive to live up to that vision. But the journey of any successful enterprise, like the journey of any individual, is rarely linear. It's filled with unexpected turns, moments of doubt, and sometimes profound lessons. And I then shared a brief, generalized anecdote, never mentioning names or specific betrayals, but conveying the essence of my personal experience. There was a time, early in my career, when I learned a crucial lesson about integrity. A situation arose where someone attempted to present another's work as their own. It was a stark reminder that true success cannot be faked. It must be earned through genuine effort, deep understanding, and an unwavering commitment to honesty. And it was in that moment, witnessing the immediate consequences of pretense, that I truly understood the power of authentic capability. It taught me that while shortcuts might offer temporary gains, only genuine merit creates lasting value. A ripple of understanding passed through the audience. Many of the long-standing employees knew the story, and the younger ones, though perhaps unaware of the specifics, instinctively grasped the universal truth I was conveying. My message was one of empowerment, a quiet affirmation that talent and hard work would always find their rightful place. After the speech, as I mingled with the guests, I felt a deep sense of contentment. My life had come full circle. The young woman who had once stood silently in the back of a conference room, waiting for her moment, was now leading the very company that had witnessed her quiet triumph. It wasn't about vengeance, it was about victory, hard-won and richly deserved. As my career began its slow, graceful descent towards retirement, I started to devote more time to philanthropic endeavors, particularly in mentorship programs for young women entering STEM fields. I wanted to instill in them the lessons I had learned: the importance of self-belief, the courage to face adversity, and the unwavering power of integrity. I shared my story, not as a cautionary tale of betrayal, but as an inspirational narrative of resilience and personal growth. I found myself increasingly spending time at my quiet country home, far from the bustling city, surrounded by nature. The tranquility allowed for deeper reflection. I would often sit in my garden, watching the flowers bloom, a profound sense of peace settling over me. The memory of Leah, though still present, had become entirely devoid of bitterness, replaced by a quiet compassion for her own unfulfilled journey. My life had been a testament to the fact that integrity, though sometimes a lonely path, ultimately leads to the most profound and lasting forms of success and fulfillment. My journey was not just about getting a job. It was about finding my true self, reclaiming my power, and building a life defined by authenticity and unwavering truth. The final chapter of my life was one of profound peace and contentment. I continued to advise Zenith Innovations, watching with immense pride as the company continued to thrive under new leadership, built on the strong foundation I had helped lay. My personal relationships flourished, enriched by years of shared experiences and unwavering support. One serene afternoon, as I sat on my porch, basking in the warmth of the sun, I thought about the trajectory of my life. It had been a complex tapestry, woven with threads of challenge and triumph, heartbreak and healing. And at its core was that singular moment of betrayal, which had, paradoxically, set me on a path to ultimate fulfillment. I had learned that true power lay not in external validation or fleeting success, but in the unwavering strength of one's own character. I closed my eyes, a faint smile touching my lips. My story was not just my own. It was a testament to the universal truth that even in the face of profound injustice, integrity will always find its voice, talent will always find its stage, and true worth will always, eventually, shine brightest. And in that quiet, undeniable truth, I found my ultimate, enduring peace. My life was a beacon, a story whispered across generations, reminding everyone that while some may try to steal your path, they can never steal your light. As my years advanced, I transitioned from the CEO role at Zenith Innovations to a more advisory capacity, stepping down to allow a new generation of leaders to shape the company's future. This transition was seamless, a testament to the strong culture of meritocracy and integrity that I had worked tirelessly to cultivate. I remained on the board of directors, contributing strategic insights and lending my experience to key initiatives, but my daily life opened up to a vast expanse of personal fulfillment. My country home became my primary sanctuary, a place where the rhythmic hum of nature replaced the constant buzz of corporate life. I spent countless hours in my garden, tending to vibrant blooms and cultivating organic vegetables. The simple act of nurturing life from the earth provided a profound sense of groundedness and peace. I rediscovered passions that had lain dormant during my most demanding professional years, particularly a renewed dedication to painting. My canvases, once filled with abstract expressions of stress, now burst with the vibrant colors of landscapes and the quiet beauty of everyday objects, reflecting the inner serenity I had finally achieved. I also dedicated a significant portion of my time to philanthropy, focusing on initiatives that supported education and empowerment for young women, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. I established scholarships for aspiring female entrepreneurs and mentored emerging leaders, sharing not just my professional knowledge, but also the invaluable life lessons I had learned. My story, distilled into its core principles of integrity, resilience, and self-belief, resonated deeply with these young women, offering them a tangible example of how challenges could be transformed into, quote, triumphs. The betrayal by Leah, once a painful scar, had fully healed, leaving behind only the wisdom gained from the experience. I rarely thought of her, and when I did, it was with a quiet, almost detached understanding of the choices she had made and the consequences she had faced. My focus remained steadfastly on the present and the future, on building positive connections and contributing meaningfully to the world around me. My greatest joy in these later years came from my family. My nieces and nephews, now grown with children of their own, would frequently visit, filling my home with laughter and warmth. I cherished the role of great aunt, sharing stories, offering guidance, and simply being a loving presence in their lives. The bond with my mother, strengthened by shared understanding and mutual respect, remained a precious constant until her passing. One crisp autumn afternoon, as I sat by the window, watching the leaves outside turn to fiery hues of red and gold, a sense of profound peace settled over me. My life had been a testament to the unexpected turns fate can take and the incredible resilience of the human spirit. I had started from a place of vulnerability and despair, facing not just professional hurdles, but a deep personal betrayal. Yet, I had navigated those challenges with integrity, patience, and an unwavering belief in my own worth. My journey had not been about vengeance, but about vindication. It had been about proving, not to others, but to myself, that true success is built on authenticity, hard work, and a commitment to one's values. I had shown that one could rise to the highest levels of achievement not by tearing others down, but by building oneself up, authentically and ethically. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow across my quiet room, I closed my eyes, a faint smile touching my lips. My story, from that desperate moment outside the pawn shop to the pinnacle of a thriving career, was a complete circle. It was a testament to the fact that while some may try to undermine you, true light, genuine talent, and unwavering integrity will always find a way to shine. And in that light, I found my ultimate, lasting peace.